Thank you to any other channels out there that might be mirroring us tonight. We're very fortunate and pleased to have our man in the Pacific Northwest, RisePDX, coming to talk to us tonight about all things occupied, worldwide communications, and anything else that is on his mind. So, as usual, we'll be taking questions from the channel. So, if you just follow his instructions there. Oh, thank you, Sapphire. We're getting mirrored on Sapphire and Rev's channel, so that's great. If you give us the questions in bold, I'll try to read them off. And Rise is making a few adjustments there, and we're getting a good look at his shirt. So we should be ready to go. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. You know how these things are. We were on task on time, but just had cranky pants, little issues to work through. But we're done and we're through it and we're ready to go. So Rise, if we've got the whole world is watching over your right shoulder, but we can only see about 50% of your face. And if that's what there we go. There's the internationally famous RisePDX. So Prusso is saying she came here to see your face. I don't know if you're able to see our chat stream or not, but hi, Angry, good to see you here. So let's launch right into it. Can you give us a little introduction about yourself and any contact information you want to share, sir?
Yeah, I'm RisePDX, and I've been occupying since October 6th when Portland occupied. And most of my occupation has been online. I have been a supporter of the 99% online. The Vegas came up with a term called the Cyber 99 in the beginning. I really like that, so I refer to the online community as the Cyber 99, and yeah.
We're really glad that you could take some time out and spend a little bit of time with us this evening. I was wondering if you could give us a little background of your skill set, which is pretty unique, and how it was that you came to be involved with the Occupy movement. What brought you to the movement?
Well, about 2002 or 3 is when I woke up to, the reality of the war machine and some of the wrongs in the society. And my whole life, I've always been in service of some sort. I was in the military. I was a nanny, a live-in nanny. I teach. I do IT. Yeah, all the above, really, when it comes to helping people. And so I've always done that, but I started realizing that something was profoundly wrong in this society, and so I started researching, into what was wrong, and I started to realize that the official story, the reality that the mainstream is creating for us, wasn't the reality that really existed. And so I didn't actually hear about Occupy until Portland was talking about Occupy, and it was probably the end of September. And the reason why is, normally I had researched heavily into all sorts of stuff, and I would have heard about Occupy, right as it was happening normally. But I'd taken a break from all the news and media and just all the crap and trying to figure out what was going on, and so I didn't hear about it until I heard somebody physically telling me about the Occupy in Portland. And so I said, oh wow, that sounds really cool. And I started looking into what was happening in New York City. I was getting really excited. I was like, wow, this is something new I've never seen before. And it just really interested me. And so I heard about a GA at Portland prior to taking the camp, so I decided, well, I'm going to go down there and see what's going on and see if I can help out. Because I had been to protests before. I protested against George Bush in Salt Lake City when I lived there with Mayor Rocky Anderson. And, I had done some other things, mainly ranting on Facebook groups and things like that. So I went down there and I saw that his name was Mike, and he was carrying this big, long PVC pole with a camera, and he had a laptop, and it said Livestream up the pole, and I was like, wow, what's this? This is pretty cool. I'd never heard of it before, and I'm a techie, so I'd never heard of the streams before though, or used Twitter for that matter. I always thought it was a way to tell people what you're eating, so anyway, I started talking to Mike, and he was like, yeah, this is to help protect the people. This is to show the truth. This is, live 24/7 media that we're going to show, people what it's really like. And that was just mind blowing to me. I was like, yes, sign me up. How can I help? He said, well, we need some people online in the chat channel and those kinds of things. So that's how I got involved, and then it went from there.
Excellent. So, our stories are similar. I started, following Occupy in September, shortly after Zuccotti was occupied, and like so many other people, watched the streams and was, GR was really hopping that time, so I volunteered and started working with them. And just like you, I never had used Twitter before Occupy for exactly the same reason. Also, I was telling somebody today, and they didn't believe it, but I never video chatted until after we got running Occupy, and I worked on a couple of channels and we started OPN. So it's kind of changed my whole uses of technology, and that's exactly how I came. And he's pointing at the Occupy P-Town screen on projection, and we're getting multicast. So I was not a gamer, was not a video chatter or anything. It's skills that I knew how to do. I just never spent any time on it. So it just shows how that's going. So why don't you talk us through the evolution of Occupy P-Town? I know some of the history, but it's a little bit convoluted. And so you were at the camp in Portland, and you saw this dude doing this stuff, and you said, how can I help out? And you brought your skill set to bear and started up a channel, and I think there's more to that story, so share some of that with us if you would like to.
Yeah, so I was really excited about this, and I went home and I checked out Global Revolution and saw like the tens of thousands of people that were on that channel. The chat was just scrolling like crazy, and there's just all this amazing live stream coming out with Monica. Monica was really big at that point. Always on the stream, and some other people, Lorenzo, and so they really inspired me. I was like, wow, this is just amazing stuff. And so I hopped online and day one, and was ready to go, and the march the rally and the march started to go towards the camp. And all this weird stuff started happening on the channel. There were troll activity going on, and it's really hard to describe what had happened. Um, Bottom line is, in the end, uh, what had happened is the owner of the channel was a person that nobody knew at all. Um, Nobody had ever met him before, and he had the channel, and what he was doing is he's putting up really uh, bad stuff on the overlays and the ticker, and anti-Occupy stuff, and he started blaming me for it, because I was, stick it to the man, and all right, we're gonna finally do this, and I was saying all these things, and I was getting some support from the chat on some of the things I was saying, and so you know I I started getting blamed for what was going up on the screen, and I was like, no way, that's not me. I'm not doing any of that. And but it turns out that the guy that had started the channel wasn't actually for the Occupy, and uh, we had to start a whole new channel. It was infiltrated from day one, and it was a really interesting experience. At that point, I got to know Infinity Circle a bit, and got to talk to Hong Kong, and everybody was really, really supportive. We had the National Lawyers Guild involved in the whole thing, and it was really quite a mess, but we ended up recovering from it, and Occupy P-Town, and really the Occupy Portland in general was just amazing. Just tons of really great footage in the archives, and I hope somebody makes a mega documentary sometime with some of that footage.
Well, it's an interesting story, and one that indicates what can happen and how things can evolve. But the fact that you guys persevered and recovered from it and did it with such style is pretty impressive and inspiring. I want to talk a little bit about for those of you who don't know, Rise is really involved in global communication methodologies, and I want to get into some of that a little bit soon. But I want to talk specifically about Occupy P-Town because you guys are doing some very cool things over there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the People's Open Mic and how that works? And I don't know how many people visit the site regularly, but it's a little bit different than most of the live stream sites. It's much more interactive, I believe. So why don't you tell us about that and kind of what your philosophy is around enabling people to have the interactivity?
Yeah, in all my experience of live stream, one of the things that I thought was the most powerful aspect of it, interactivity, how the people, interact with the camera, and uh, they can, talk to the person on the ground or the people on the ground, and share information, and having that interactive experience is really important, I think. And uh, you know, the the infiltration of Occupy P-Town in the beginning, was not the only infiltration that occurred, and it continued to happen, and to the level of streamers, things like that. So, you know, one of the organic ways that Occupy kind of took care of that problem is gave everybody the power to stream by and really it was Korea that gave us the example of this, and everybody just kind of moved to it as this Ustream model. And the unfortunate thing that happened with this Ustream model is that once you took away that centralization, and you had all these individual Ustream channels, plus the chat interface of Ustream itself isn't very friendly. you lost a lot of that interactivity. And so I started to see all these live streams having problems, and the numbers were reducing, and the chats were full of trolls and just all these things, and so it just lost a lot of its appeal, I think. So my philosophy has been to push the people to the streamers and support the streamers, because it's really difficult. Um, it's not an easy task, and not only are you in danger, with police and just general weirdos, it's stressful, and there's long hours, and you have people, yelling at you for all different things, like don't stream, whatever it may be. And so, yeah, I just figured, we need to support the streamers. And so I don't try and attract people to P-Town. I do in a way, but as things are happening live, I want to push people to all the streamers so they can communicate, because the streamers have relationships with people, and they develop these relationships, and it really empowers them, I think, and we should never lose that.
So it's a good point to make, and an example of generosity as a producer, that you're trying to disseminate the information and point people towards the streamers and give them easier access. So we say a lot of times, all of us, we've had this conversation in many areas, that if it wasn't for the streamers, there would be no movement, because nobody would know, because we're still, for the most part, in an MSM blackout. Um, there's no hope except alternative media that will show us what's going on and be able to give us an area for dialogue. And it's a good effort that you make. I'm interested. I don't know this myself, but I'm interested if you have a production team of sorts. I'm fortunate enough to be working with 5 other people to run our channel, and we know how much work it is. So are you a solo operation, or do you have a production team?
Yeah, for the most part, I'm solo just for the producing. But we're in TPOM 110 now, with this new format that I thought of, and uh, since the TPOM, there's been several people that are key to making the TPOM successful, and I'd like to thank each one of those people, for helping as much as they do, and that would be Luna, from Luna Live now, and Lotus, and Wake and Dog, and Sweet Sweet by Justice, and many of the mods, all the mods from all over the Occupy, Susie, clearly everybody, all help share information, and I know I'm leaving out names. I'm a little nervous, and so I want to thank each one of you. You know who you are.
No need to be nervous. We're all family, and we're grateful that you're here to talk with us. Could you expand a little bit on the TPOM? You said you're on 110, and for those of you guys who don't know it or haven't participated, that's show number 110. 110 shows of the People's Open Mic on Occupy P-Town. So why don't you give us a quick overview of what that is and how it works, because I do want to get into your participation on Mumble, too, for those who don't know it.
Yeah, I've been looking at all the different systems, and there's so much stuff going on everywhere. You have stuff on Stickam, you have stuff on TinyChat, you have stuff on Twitter and Facebook, you have stuff on Occupy.org. That's the Facebook for the Occupy, for those that don't know. And there's just all these platforms where everybody's sharing information, and just so much of it gets lost. And even in the streams, mostly in the streams is where I got the idea from, is that a lot of videos just get lost and people don't talk about them. You know, Occupy P Town's coming up on 4,000 videos total now. Those are the live videos. Um, you know, that's a lot of videos to sort through. Um, even if you name all the videos correctly and they're descriptive of what they are, good luck finding it. It's a monumental task. So one of the things that I figured out how to do in computing, this numbering system, and combining Twitter and a naming convention, you can tag stuff. You can live tweet as it's happening. It has a timestamp. We're on TPOM 110, which means that's the name of the video, TPOM 110. The next TPOM will be 111, and it just keeps incrementing. And then each video as it's going has a clock there, so you could say, oh, it's 1 hour into the TPOM, I tweet, and if anybody wants to see what that is, they can go look at that TPOM, go right to the hour mark, and they can watch it. And so it's just, of categorizing things, and also the channel, the People's Open Mic itself is utilizing these other systems like Mumble to bring a voice to the live stream. So people on the Mumble can interact with people on the chat. And if you don't want to come talk in voice, that's fine. You can talk on the live stream channel. And there's been some really great discussions, and that's the whole goal of it, is to have great discussions and grow and learn, share and tag information, and it's all the above. And so that's what I've tried to do with TPOM.
It's a really clever marrying of numerous platforms to achieve a goal, and I was trying to describe it to somebody this afternoon, and they're like, "What? I don't get it." I said, "Well, as a person that's involved in gear and tech, I always like to I'm like, okay, what do we got to work with, and how can we make it work together? And yours is such a good synthesis, and I love that. Is there a user's guide or like an informational overview document or somewhere, or should people just jump in there and bang around?
Well, you can jump in there and bang around and learn, how it all works. You can do it that way. There is a video that I do want to make. I've been just all keep coming up that keep taking me away from doing that, but I do need to get it done because it is a complex system, and a lot of the work doesn't happen on the channel directly. So, you have to know how to use it to be able to see its full potential.
Right.
And what's great about the tweeting part of it is anybody can do it, even so even if the work getting done now, at the moment, at least it's in progress, and stuff that's done, work that's done now can be used later.
All right. I think we got to pause for a minute, Rise, because live stream dropped. So let's make sure we come back up. It's saying it's reconnected now. Live stream's been cranky pants.
Back up. It's back up on my computer.
Yeah. All right.
I see you on OPN.
So Z, Rise is got it up on his computer too, so we're backing up both ways. I think we should be good. So we have a plan B. I don't know what's going on with the live stream channels, but we all work together here, so good. So I don't know where we lost. Somebody can update kind of where you guys lost the feed so we can go back. We were talking about the technology for the People's Open Mic, and I want to make sure you guys were all clear on that, or I can move on to the next question. Sorry to kind of break the flow. Um, Everything missed nothing really. Okay, well we'll go on then. Good to know. We missed nothing. I got a bad error message. I love that. So why don't we do a little bit of a segue in, because part of the components of the TPOM is you're utilizing the Mumble platform, which some of us have been using lately. It's a really good voice communications platform. Why don't we give us a little bit of a talk around that, and A, how it's utilized, and B, how you envision it could be utilized more effectively.
Yeah, Mumble's a great platform. It can be used for lots of different things, mainly for communication, which is something that we don't have a lot of. There are a lot of communication, but there isn't a lot of sharing of communication between the occupies that should be happening. And Mumble's a great way to do that, I think. It allows people to use their voice and talk. It's a little bit more personable, and you're building community. Since I've been on Mumble, I've met some amazing people, and everybody there seems to be really smart and really compassionate and really strong-willed, really dedicated. They go there all the time. You have the global roundtables, you have the streamers roundtable, you have free skilling, you have Meet Occupy, you have all these big meetings that happen, on a nearly daily basis for several hours at a time. Um, you have a lot of these same people and others that come to Mumble outside of those times and just sit in a room and have conversations about, problems and solutions, and to rant, to share information. Just all sorts of great stuff happens. And one of the cool things that you can do with Mumble, you can run your own server. As an Occupy, for instance, a city could run its own server, and then people of that city could connect there and have different rooms, and you could have meetings virtually. So you're not spending a lot of gas to go to meetings, physically. And it doesn't replace occupation, but it allows the times in between to be more productive and more available and more accessible, especially, a lot of people forget about all the disabled, or people that live too far away, or the host of reasons why people can't attend physically. And so it helps facilitate. And you can record the meetings, and save it as a MP3 and have a podcast if it's a teach-in. And you can combine it with the live stream, as many live streams have done for these roundtables. These roundtables are an excellent example of how the Mumble merges with the live stream and interacts together with it. And that isn't anything that I came up with. That was the Global Roundtable that first started doing that. And thank you for that. It's an amazing merge.
Right. And I think I don't know if you had said it out loud, but everybody needs to know that the Mumble platform is truly international. Anytime you get on there, there are people from all over the world participating in those conversations. Many of them have been, on our interviews, like Daenerys and Top from London, people from up in Norway, Sweden, Denmark. Quite a few people from all over the world can get there and participate, and it is a pretty interesting forum, and the quality is just excellent. It's about the best voice quality you can get on the internet. So Rise is pretty adept at tying all these different communication platforms together to move the message forward. I think it would be, I would like to hear your views on the necessity of all these alternative media communication platforms and how we can more effectively use them, because a lot of times the chats, the mumbles, the streams, a lot of times there's a lot of what I'll say, for lack of a better term, noise going on. And I feel like, oh, we have these great platforms and we're not using them as effectively as possible. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's a lot of effective ways we can use it, and we've been doing that. Um, uh, but yeah, the thing I like the most out of all of it is the personal story. And TPOM, was inspired because of OPN. The OPN, as soon as you guys started, here's a live stream channel out of nowhere. you know, uh, as far as, there's been so many live stream channels established for so long, and while all the other live stream channels were having these poor numbers, um, you guys come on and have people tell their personal stories and things like that, and instant success. And I agree. I think more people need to tell their stories. Um, I think that we need more of the people that aren't able to tell their stories to be able to tell them as well. And I don't think we hear enough of that. Some of us that do have some money because of work or not everybody's fortunate to be able to use this media like the streamers or a procaster or anybody like that. So, you know, um, one idea that I thought that would be really effective is to get Mumble people with Mumble to go down into some of these more like tent cities or houseless areas and start getting some stories. Even if the video there, which they may not, if they could just get the voices of the people on their stories and share those. I think it's really important to hear the most disparaged and the most marginalized people on this planet. They're the ones that are being affected right now. There's this talk about the Occupy going from to kind of a part time, and there's just not as much stuff going on that could be going on. And meanwhile these people are starving and cold and dying in some cases.
I think that's a great use of the platform, and it kind of brings a question to mind, and we've been talking about this at OPN about what is the difference between a live interview such as this and assuming that in some of the areas you're talking about getting to, you're not going to have infrastructure. It may or may not have Wi-Fi. You may not get a 4G signal. So that puts you in a position of doing recorded and archived interviews for distribution later. And that comes, there's a whole lot of conversation around that. How do you feel about that? Because I have a distinct opinion about that myself. I'm interested to hear what you say.
No, it doesn't have to be live. Um, and that's part of the TPOM system too, is people can submit videos to TPOM-S. If you just tweet a link, let's see here. I'm getting a little bit of lag. If you just tweet a link to that hashtag, then I can go look at that and play those videos.
Mm-hmm.
Or anybody could go look at those videos. You don't have to be on a live stream channel to share or get this information.
Right.
And so that's another thing that's part of this system that sort of goes along with what you're saying is, if you have it live and you don't know when it's going to come out, and especially if it's ongoing, how would you know, what videos to look at, and how would it be all inclusive where there isn't somebody deciding, what video, people should see.
Right.
And that would be to tweet it to a central hashtag. And it doesn't even have to be TPOM. I mean, TPOM is just an example of a system.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be the standard. It doesn't have to be what the end result is. It's just an idea. And, like TPOM-R, if you tweet rallies to TPOM-R, then people can look at rallies. If you tweet TPOM, there's like a TPOM MSM, but there's not two M's. It uses, I started doing this one to sort of check on MSM, if you see any odd MSM stuff, or you want to hold MSM accountable for not reporting or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, Twitter can be used for kind of like a filing cabinet, so to speak. And so that would be a way to do that. And, yeah, a lot of these cities and other areas don't have a Wi-Fi signal. As a matter of fact, you'll notice across the nation as you go into poor neighborhoods, the data gets poorer quality. And in Portland, I was just in Salt Lake. It was the same thing in Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you're not going to get a signal in a lot of these places. So HD video is the way to do it. And yeah, I don't see a problem with that. As people know where to look to find the stuff, people can share it freely, and people can learn from it.
Yep. So, I said I had an opinion, so I'll toss it out there now. I think the live streaming has an attraction because of the novelty of it, that it is live, it is unedited, and it is unspun for the most part. Recorded stuff historically has been suspect, but I would say that recorded material coming from all our sources and cataloged in a central place is extremely valuable. And my baseline position is it's more important to get the stories than anything else. So I really love what you're doing with TPOM. So we have a question in bold. I want to read it off to you. Zena wants to know why Rise occupies. Why do you occupy?
Well, I am a Desert Storm War veteran. I was in the combat zone, and I've seen the war machine up close, and I've been given vaccines that are suspect to be illegal testing. I've had Gulf War syndrome, which are similar to some of these vaccines. And just the war machine in general. Reflecting back and everything that I know now, I really don't feel that I was fighting for anybody's freedom, that I was fighting for a business class elite to protect their interests. And, I feel deep regret for, anybody who lost their life for my contribution to that mission. And I am very anti-war. War is not the solution, and that's the main reason why I occupy. But research in all sorts of areas for 10 years, pretty much solid, and I'm aware of all the problems that are going on in the world. I have a lot of in-depth knowledge in a lot of it, from GMO to, war to economy. I am educated. I do have a master's degree and a bachelor's degree. And I just see any future um, in this economy. This economy is highly destructive to the planet. It's not sustainable. It relies on growth, which, if it grows anymore, it's going to destroy the planet faster. And it's just a huge. We don't have an overpopulation problem. We have a mismanagement of Earth resources problem and destruction of environments at wanton pace problem. And I feel that the problems are so vast and so complex and so serious that if we don't take action immediately, our children aren't going to have a future. And this stuff's going to start affecting us in our lives. This isn't, we can't kick the can down the road anymore. We have to take action and resolve this, or we're going to destroy the planet.
I agree, and that kind of follows right on the heels of what Mr. Loving was saying last night. And the point has stayed with me all day that all these other problems we talk about are irrelevant if the planet dies. So you're right. We can't kick the can down the road, and we all need to rise up and speak out and act. I felt like we received a true call to action last night and a reminder of why we're here, and you just reinforced that. Why don't you share with us, if you will, what's the biggest lesson you've learned as being part of Occupy?
I learned that nobody said it was going to be easy.
And it's a good point to make. And it's going to be a long haul. We're dealing with the
and that we've just started too.
Right. So we got to be settled in for the long haul. I want to ask you, bearing in mind that it's not going to be easy, we ask a lot of the guests this question: revolution, reform, or what?
Revolution.
Yes? Expand on that.
Politics is their game, and as long as we play it, we support them.
That's succinctly put. You think we'll be able to achieve it through nonviolent revolution, or as Mr. Loving said, unviolent revolution, or is it going to take some?
I think a lot of us will be nonviolent, but I don't think there will be lack of violence. No, as we've seen.
Right. I think the problems are so dramatic that the possibility exists. What do you think are three biggest challenges as a movement and an agent for change for social justice might be? And what are the solutions you would offer up?
The biggest what? I'm sorry.
What are our three biggest challenges in your opinion, and possible solutions to those challenges?
Well, I think the biggest problem that we have is apathy. The solution to that is just to keep doing what we're doing and do it better. Like you said, start focusing on the stories, getting a message out there, sharing information. We can do all this stuff a lot better than we have been. And that may help, a lot more creative actions, flash mobs and superheroes. The more superheroes that are in the street, the better. So that would be the first challenge, and probably the biggest, I think. And yeah, I'm not sure the answer is really complex, but it involves all those things. Just keep doing the outreach and keep talking to people and keep focusing. Another probably the next biggest problem that we have is fighting amongst ourselves and competing with ourselves, which helps sabotage that biggest problem. We have to realize that we're in this together, and this is a cooperation, not a competition. Competition is the old paradigm. Um, people say that competition makes things better. It doesn't. What it ends up doing is it creates a winner, and once the winner wins, everybody else loses. That's not the world I want, and that's the world that we have. So a little less fighting amongst each other, dropping aside our differences. I hear during Bilderberg, Alex Jones, this terrible person. Regardless of your opinion of him, he was at an action that we should have been at, and he stood in solidarity with all sorts of different people there in this action, and that's how we should be with all our actions, I think. Less personal attacks, more action, more solidarity, dropping the petty differences, and I think that will help with the biggest problem, because we will be more effective and successful. The third biggest problem, I think, is the 1%. I don't think they're going to change. Some of them will. They've had plenty of time to change and to listen to the people and to start, working towards solutions with the people. And we can see quite clearly that they're not going. So that's a pretty big challenge.
Yep. I like what you said earlier about your opinion about politics, and if we play by their rules, we lose. And the other night, we broadcasted a lot of stuff off on the Walker recall, and that was my synopsis. If nothing else, it proved that the game is rigged. They run all the rules. We play by the rules. Every time we play by the rules, we're going to get our ass kicked. So we need to change the rules, or even better, make a whole new game. I think it's incumbent on us to use our creativity, our humor, and our skills to come at this from a different angle. So far, we've been approaching it, for the most part, on their terms, and we need to change the terms, for what that's worth. I have a question. I'm going to read this one off. Actually, it's a two-parter. What is the number one message that you would offer to Occupy and the 99%?
Rise up.
I like that. You could say it with conviction. Rise up. It wasn't. Don't put.
Rise up.
There you go. No question mark at the end of that. Rise up and speak out. Yeah.
No, not tomorrow.
Excellent. And what is the number one message that you want to deliver to the 1%? We got our eye on you, buddy. Yep, accountability. I love it. I love it. What is your what are your next steps in Occupy as we continue what we know is going to be a long struggle? What do you have on stack that you want to talk about, and any plans you may have in the works?
Well, yeah, just keep spreading the message, keep supporting the streamers. The streamers really need your help. I do a lot of streamer support, and I didn't even realize that they're not getting the money that I thought they were getting. And I thought people were well enough, because I see them traveling all these places and stuff. Some of them, and come to find out, on the last streamers meeting, a lot of them aren't getting money. Cross Expones, for example, gets maybe $100 in a month on some months, and other months none. So please support your streamers. They do need your help. If you like a streamer, if you watch them all the time, if you have a relationship with them, give them $5 a month or $10 a month or whatever you can. The streamers don't work for corporations. Gas money and train tickets and all these things costs money, and a lot of them do it because they love it and they want to spread truth. But for some of them, it's a financial reality that they can't do a lot of the things that they want. So please, please support them. Every money that you spend, every dollar that you spend towards a streamer that you like, that you watch all the time is a dollar well spent in my mind. And it's the only media we have. The mainstream media is a crime against humanity. I fully believe that,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully other people will realize that too. And I think a lot of people do, but I hope everybody realizes what a crime against humanity it is. They're supposed to be our check and balance, and they're bought and sold. And not only do they not tell us things that are happening, they lie about things, to suppress the people's voice. And they are supposed to be the people's voice. So, yeah, that we need to take care of our streamers. So I'm going to try and figure out ways to do that. I think a really good idea for doing that, just to some of you streamers, the Occupy Caravan had some 99% flags that they were giving for a $25 donation. If you need to donate some 99 gear to you to have a drive on your stream or something, people will do it. So especially if you sign it, something like that, just that might be one way to start getting some of the money that you need for your expenses. But the rest of what I'm going to do, it just I kind of live in the now, plan anything other than staying until it's done, and hopefully that happens before I die.
It's good work. We have another question asking about your thoughts on Occupy's support for Tunisia, Egypt, and the Syria protesters, because we were inspired by them to action.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everywhere outside of the U.S. is really difficult to stream. Um, any of those people need all our support, whatever we can give them. And yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I don't know the answer to that. In some of these places, Syria, for example, streamers have died. And, and even in the U.S., it's becoming really difficult. The media is being targeted. They're I remember seeing a picture in NATO of this guy taking a picture with a professional camera, and he had a baton wound across his head, and it was bleeding. And it's just an amazing picture, and but that's starting to happen in the U.S. and we've seen a lot of streamers, that aren't streaming anymore. It just kind of makes you wonder what's going on. I know in Portland, a streamer had her window broken in her vehicle coming back from a stream, and whether it was related or not, I don't know, but there's definitely intimidation and harassment of streamers that is an ongoing thing.
And is Portland still a vibrant and viable Occupy? I'm embarrassed to say I don't know because I can't keep up on everything. Are they still pretty active?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really amazing activists in Portland, and there's a lot of really amazing things happening all over the city. But I think, like in a lot of places, there aren't a lot of really big events. Those are more few and far between. But there is still a lot of stuff going on. We have the vigil going on that's been going on since the camp did, and yeah, not many people know about that because there hasn't been a streamer until recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a lot of different sub-cities of Portland, like Beaverton and Gresham.
Mm-hmm.
There's Northeast and Southwest and Northwest. And all those different areas of the city have their own occupies and their own assemblies. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the community all over the place. There's all sorts of teach-ins going on. I went to an Earth Spirit conference, which was a Native American gathering, and so there's all these things happening, and a lot of them aren't related to Occupy necessarily, but they are aligned with Occupy goals, and saying enough is enough, and we need to start doing something. So that's all really encouraging, even though there doesn't seem to be a lot of big actions.
No, I like that, and it kind of brings me to where, what my next question was going to be. How do we effectively practice outreach and knit together all our smaller occupies, in smaller cities, second and third tier cities, and also to connect the complementary groups that may not classify themselves as part of Occupy but still work for social justice. What's some ideas around that? Because Portland's a happening city, and I know there's a lot of things that are not specifically Occupy, but there's a lot of social justice groups there. And so how do we go about tying all those together? Because I'm really interested in how we can cultivate and build unity, because I think that's where our power lies.
Yeah, that's a good question. If I knew the answer, I'd be talking about it. You know, uh, I think Revolutionary Z is onto the right idea that we need to tune more people into Twitter and the social engine,
Mm-hmm.
and they can finding out these things for themselves and getting involved themselves. But Twitter is kind of a scary thing. But and even Facebook, even if it's, and that's a bad word to a lot of people, but it is really key in outreach, especially the information. So these social systems are really our only way to communicate with each other in an unfiltered way, in a mass scale way, where we can all kind of centralize into these places. And I don't know if it's necessarily good to have everything in one spot, because then the trolls come, they wreck everything, and you know, uh, infiltration and instigation and all that. I mean, I think that's kind of a danger with all of us gathering together in one spot. But a couple of different big spots would be good,
Yep.
or maybe just a unfiltered Twitter. The thing that people don't understand about Twitter, barring any censorship by Twitter itself, is it's completely filter free, and you can get all the information. It's all public. It's all free out there, except for, I mean, there's people that hide it. If you're tweeting publicly to hashtags and things like that, you can go look at a hashtag and see everything that's been tweeted, and so and if there is a troll in there, you can just block them and you don't see their communications anymore, and that's your own personal preference. So it's a really powerful tool for direct democracy. And I'm a little bit I'm not a politics genius as far as how politics works, or I wouldn't consider myself a pundit. But direct democracy means people taking action themselves and not turning over their power to others. And Twitter is a way that people can do that and give their voice, and nobody can silence them besides individual people. So that's one of the powers of it. And I think, whether it's Twitter in the future or some system like it, I think that's a viable path towards a direct democracy.
Yep. Well, I think you've opened our eyes to yet another possibility, and I think we might have you on again to do a Twitter workshop or something like that with us. So we'll use the tool to use the tool better. So that's really inspiring. I wanted to just take a moment and give a shout out to Carrie and Mary. I don't know if they're watching or not, but thank you guys for what you're doing coming out of Portland and providing streams. We appreciate it, and I know you work closely with Rise, and he speaks very well of you, so thank you for that. So I wanted to see if there's any more questions coming out of the chat stream, please. And if not, Rise probably has hundreds of emails piling up, thousands of Twitters, and a lot of producing to do tonight. So if you guys have any questions, let's pop them up. And while they're doing that, Rise, do you have any final words you'd like to toss out to the group?
I just love you all, and you all inspire me, and you know, you're part of why I occupy too. And I think we're an Occu family, and you know, even the people I've disagreed with or made mad, you know, if I have made anybody mad, I'm sorry, and you know, I'm just learning as I go along too, and I hope we all, you know, move towards the goal that we've all joined together for. And and thing, you know, I always come across this. People don't seem to know about it. I don't know why, but I'll post a link for the New York City GA.net declaration. It's a web page with a zoomy picture, and you know, if people don't know what Occupy stands for or what you're standing in solidarity with OWS, you really need to look at that page. And the zoomy pic, well, all the details in the text on the page describe what's wrong in our world and why we occupy. But the zoomy pic that you can zoom around on is just a really important picture. Whoever did it is a genius, and thank you. I've spent countless hours on that picture, and the more I look at it, the more I learn. And really, it is a blueprint of our society. And when you look at it, you'll just see how corrupted and how ineffective it is. It's appalling. But every bit of it, I haven't been able to find one thing in it that isn't true. But he does find that one thing on that picture, please let me know, because you know, I think it's just 100% truth. And thank you for whoever made that.
So there's a couple of more questions. Everybody's worried about your health and well-being and the fact that it's hot under that mask, and they want to encourage you to feel free to take it off if that's what you would like to do. You know, it's a very caring group here. So I'll take that as your response. The slideshow you have running in the background, people are asking, is that background display for your site, or is it an art exhibit, and can it be shared?
Oh, yeah, it's just a bunch of pictures I've collected. It's, let's see. I just project up onto my wall here, and it's just a slideshow of a bunch of images I collected, and yeah, I can put a zip file and share. I have a Dropbox or SkyDrive or whatever. I can put it on there if anybody wants it.
That would be awesome. And if you get around to doing that, and you just hit me or Z with an email, we'll be glad to share it, because some good imagery there, and I think that's good. I've been doing some projections and stuff too, because if nothing else, it makes people go like, what's that? And it's a departure for the conversation. You know, you can start a conversation like just by showing those images somewhere. And these are the kinds of things I think we need to do, because engaging people in the conversation is the first step to helping unify and you know, share ideas. There is a special request for the puppy. We want the puppy. Everybody wants to see the dog.
She's sleeping right now.
She's
Maybe
sleeping.
another time.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
We're not going to bother the dog. And can you, the NYCGA net, was it Zoomie? ZOOMIE? What was the I think he's putting it up in the chat.
If that link works there.
Got a little bit of a lag going. So if you guys don't have any questions while we're waiting for that to come up, there it is. So there, check that out, Uppity, and let's see.
Oh wait, that doesn't look right. It looks.
Do over. I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. All the channels that were mirroring us. Thank you. We were up on GR for a while, Rise, and we also were up on Occupy World News tonight for the whole interview. So thank you very much for your support of OPN, and we really appreciate it. Lots of love and thanks coming out of the chat, which you can see because you're typing into it. We appreciate it. They are still running our auto. We're about to wind it down. So, Rise, thank you so much for the evening and for talking to us here and sharing your observations. Thank you so much for the good work you do. I do want to give a plug out. We can thank Rise for getting a lot of our OPN production team on Mumble because he worked with Zena one afternoon, who worked with the rest of us. So that's how we kind of all came to Mumble. So he is an excellent teacher, very patient, and a good human being. So we're really grateful for that. Thank you so much. If you guys want to hang on, I'm going to archive this and I'll join you right back on the chat in just a moment. Thank you guys for all your participation. Thank you, the wonderful OPN production team. Clearly, Uppity, Zena for facilitating, Susie Q. Also, Chris is streaming in Nashville tonight, and our newest member, who is Grey Dog, the author of the 99% Get Smart blog. She is now our European team correspondent. So that's going to be great. OPN trying to bring you stuff to inform and educate. I'll be right back with program notes for the rest of the week. Thanks a lot. Hang around.